my question is essentially, how important is it that you think people should build AI into their commercial or non-commercial apps, and what industries you think should go there quicker versus those that might not need it? And then the hot off the press context is we make a tool to do qualitative research or context analysis, analyzing unstructured documents. And we started trying to it's all built in live code. We started trying to incorporate AI about 2 to 3 weeks ago, thinking, we'll be on the leading edge of this trend. Once we saw how powerful it was in our particular field, and it blew my mind when I actually data. And then literally last night, one of our major competitors sent out a tweet that said they're just about to release an early beta of AI in their product.
Yeah.
So that's how fast it's happening in my niche industry. And it's faster than I anticipated.
Yeah.
So what do you think industries will lead in the AI use and which maybe less so?
Yeah, I love the question. And I guess there's kind of two parts to my answer. The first is that, there is an awful lot of hype right now. There is a lot of marketing going on. Everybody is jumping on this bandwagon as quickly as possible. And so, if you're a vendor, then you need to think very carefully about not being left behind and being part of that whilst that hype and that message is happening. I think that's one side of it. But in terms of which apps or which industries or, when to include AI in your product, I could come back and I could list all kinds of things that are being done with AI, the generative language models, the large language models, the image editing and all the rest of it. But I think it's simpler than that. It's essentially, when you're designing an app, the way that we think about it, certainly the way that we thought about it for Xavvi, is what aspects of the app experience would be better if it was possible for the user to describe to the app what they want in natural language, as opposed to going through all of the steps to produce the output manually. So if you think about the different places in Xavvi, and I'm just using that as an example because I know you're obviously doing something completely different, the ability to describe a layout will in many cases be faster than the use of all of the individual layout tools. If it's a reasonably describable screen, there are hundreds, thousands of permutations of those, but it's probably quicker to describe the screen that you want and then to have it all neatly laid out by an AI rather than have to work out which widgets on the tools palette do I need to use, where am I going to drag all of those things, how am I going to space them all together, and so on. So there's definitely a benefit there. The same, when we're generating actions, again, you can go through the UI and you can click and you can find the menus and you can choose all of the various different things that you want it to do. But if you could just tell the computer what you want to do, and then it can work out what actions you actually meant as a result of that, then again, you have a better experience. So I don't know, the apps that you're building or the apps for different, industries obviously vary. But the question we're asking is just that. It's, well, where is it better in my user experience for that user not to have to do a manual task, but just to be able to explain in English? Stephen, I don't know if you've got anything that you would add to that.
Yeah, similar. I think thinking about what apps do and don't need it, I don't necessarily know it's as clear cut as that. I think it's definitely a case by case basis. I think lots of apps don't need it, but I think most apps would benefit from having it. And I think what will probably happen is over time, and the way everybody implements AI into their apps, I think user expectations will change a little bit, specifically in things like asking for something and getting something back. So I think if your app's not doing those things, then I think you may be getting left behind a little bit. But I think it should be a case of, well, it definitely shouldn't be a case of implementing it for the sake of implementing it. I think it's, how can we deliver something that adds value to our users, or something that makes the app's purpose better? And I actually, just listening to your question, I think that would be a really interesting blog post for us to do, is like pick 10 different apps in 10 different industries and that don't yet use AI, and have a stab at how AI could improve those apps. And I think that would maybe be really useful for everybody to see. It would be really useful for me to write, or for us to write. So that's maybe something that we'll put on the list and get out there.
I think you were right the first time, Stephen. It'll be interesting for you to write.
Yeah, probably.
Got
Yes.
your name all over it.